It's really hard to scare me. It's even harder, I think. Now, hang on. It takes a lot to freak me out. It takes even more to scare me. I've seen my fair share of horror movies. I've read my fair share of creepypastas. I actually enjoy reading those sort of things. I enjoy watching horror movies. But as years have gone by, I've become a little desensitized to it. There are still some movies from the past that are my all-time favorites that still, get me, I guess, scared or worried or panicky or whatever. But something recently has, since it's, pretty new right now, something recently has been brought to my attention. I sort of dismissed this at first because somebody brought up to me another Thomas the Tank Engine creepypasta story. Now, those are two things that usually wouldn't mix. But Shed 17, I think, has become the exception. Why? Let's take a look. Greetings, every people. This is your cult of personality, ToonKriticY2K's name, and Toon's the name of my game, Shed 17. When this was recommended to me, I thought it was just some really stupid creepypasta that somebody created. Somebody said, "Oh, Toon, you have to see the haunted story of Timothy Ghost Train." Yeah, it sucked. Not even gonna be gentle here. It kind of sucked. I mean, granted, the face was creepy, but that's all it really has to it, other than a really complicated and weird story. Now, the only other Thomas fan thing that I've reviewed is Tobias and the Half Pariah, and that is still one of the best fan-made Thomas projects I've seen in a long time. But this is one of my favorites now. So, Shed 17, for those that are curious, is made by Paul's Vids, who created Bertha the True Story, which was old. That's years ago, but I remember it, and I thought that was pretty cool. This guy is known for taking some liberties and making things a little different on the extreme side of the more, oh, here's the true thing about what's going on with this, and it does it in a really interesting way. Now, I'm not going to go into spoilers in this because I think this has to be seen to be believed. There is some really surreal, freaky stuff that happens in this that even got me, freaked out. And I made sure to watch this at night when I was a little tired. I wanted to give myself nightmare fuel. I got it. Definitely wasn't expecting it to choo-choo all aboard the train to Nopesville. All aboard the Nope train, as they say. So, Shed 17, I'll just give the basic premise of it. It focuses on a darker side to Thomas and shows why the engines have faces to begin with. It focuses on a research facility, a man who tries to save his kid over some stuff that happens. It's really hard for me to talk about the exact details of this, but I'll just say that it starts off with the origins of Thomas and goes into detail about some more of the engines and more backstory for them. I'll just leave it at that. So, I'll start off with the good things. This is a really creative concept that they went with. It's a concept that I've never seen explored before, or a reason given. People say, oh, why do the engines have faces? Well, this answers that in probably one of the weirdest ways. Weirdest, surrealist, freakiest, whatever word you want to give to it. They decide to explain their side of the stories, and one thing that they do a big thing for is the flying kipper. Now, we all remember what happened in that, but Shed 17 decides to tell a different side of it and what really happened. And what really happened is pretty screwed up. I don't want to say effed up because I'm trying to cut back on the language here, but it is pretty messed up. Not even going to lie. When I say this is surreal, I say that it doesn't rely on jump scares. I don't think there's any in this. Maybe just technically one. But this does a good job of not relying on the typical horror tropes. It's set up as a mockumentary interview sort of... what is it? Yeah, it is mockumentary. Mockumentary interview person by person, showing footage, never before seen things, and it presents it like it's a news broadcast or whatever. And this video, this movie, this film, I don't know what to call it exactly. This video, this story, it focuses on disturbing, making you uncomfortable, making you question some things, messing with your childhood, and doing it in a very bizarre and creepy way. And that's the thing I like. I like when horror stories don't rely on the typical modern tropes we see today, and just wants to tell you a story. A story that I don't think you can handle. I've read through the comments, and I've seen my fair share of people divided on, this is so creepy and disturbing, and I love it. This is too creepy and disturbing. I'm terrified by it. You ruined my childhood. I'll get to those complaints in a sec. But with the surrealness, with the creepiness behind it, it definitely fits all of those marks. It fits all of those adjectives down to a T. And especially near the end, where you start figuring some things out as the reveal starts coming. The first big reveal of this, when I was watching this, the moment they showed Thomas, I paused the video, and I thought, no, they're not going to go this route, are they? No, that'd just be silly. And they did, and I was, like, not terrified, not horrified, just very, very confused, and very taken aback by it. Very shocked, I guess is the word. The shock factor in this goes up there. We'll say that right now. Now, the animation for this also, there's a little low-grade animation. It's not anything Pixar or Disney-worthy. It's simple enough, and I think the simplicity of it makes this story a lot more creepier. It's the same animation he used back in the Bertha video, and I think it helps because there's a lot you can do with it. He really does a great job, like with the cinematography, telling a great story through that as well. The models that are used as well, albeit look a little cheap, but they still do a good job telling the story. They get the story across, you get the emotions across. The voice acting's not too bad either, I think. Some people complain the voice acting was a problem, but I don't think it's too bad. I can understand them. It's simple enough. You did a lot of research, too. Like, one thing I was impressed by with this is that he did a lot of research, bringing up all the old school intros to really take you back in time and present this to you in, like I said, a creepy way. Like with the filters that he uses, the way he's able to edit in footage, it looks really good and convincing. So that's something that I really enjoyed with that. You combine all of that together, and you have a creepypasta in film format that honestly does a really good job taking you back, making you question some things, really messing with your childhood. I think I've driven that point in before, but I can't stress that point enough. This movie is not for the faint of heart. This creepypasta is, it's up there, at least in my mind. And I'm no creepypasta master, but I know a good one when I see one. Now, on that, there are a lot of complaints of people saying, oh, this is too dark. You're ruining Thomas. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. How dare you ruin my childhood? You know, that's kind of what we're doing today with most of the other creepypastas. How is this one any different? Shed 17 is dark. It may have ruined Thomas for some people, but clearly none of you have read any of the stories between Belle and Flynn from Trainmaster 64. You want to talk about ruined childhood? There. I'll give you something worse than that, and don't look it up. For the love of God, don't look it up. Those fics are gone. But I've read them, and they're not pleasant to sit through. With people complaining about this being too dark and too scary or whatever, I'm sorry. Would you have wanted him to try less? Would you have wanted him to make it less scary? Because he cranked this up to 11 here. He cranked this up to the best possible way that he could, and I applaud him for that. I applaud him for doing an idea as risky as this, as scary as this, as shocking and spooky as it is, and surreal as it is. It's impressive to see that pulled off. Why is that a bad thing? It's really not. It's stories are meant to tell different sides. If you have like one story, you have all sorts of different sides to it. You can tell it from one perspective or another, but if you want to take this approach, if you want to take the creepypasta approach, go for it. See if you can tell something that's never been told before. See if you can present a story that's never been seen before, that has never been attempted before. And this is Shed 17. So I would definitely recommend go seeing it, but I warn you, it is not for the faint of heart. It is pretty messed up, but it's in a good way. It is really cool, I think. Like, when you get to the end, when you get to the big reveal at the end, oh man, it's a lot to take in. It really is, but the animation that makes it happen is so freaky. Like, you may get an idea for how this is, because some people also said this is predictable. Yeah, you can get the gist of where this is going, but just because it's predictable doesn't mean that it's not scary. So, that's all I got to say on that. Put your thoughts down on Shed 17 in the comments below. I look forward to hearing some of that. Yes, Joey has seen it. I don't think Will has seen it yet, but don't hound us about it. We'll see it. We'll get our thoughts on it. Taking care of it. And yeah, that's the good thing. Like, comment, subscribe, Twitter, Patreon. Go put down your thoughts on Shed 17 in the comments below. Look forward to hearing some of them. Look forward to seeing you more for Halloween. I'm so glad, because I'm glad that Shed 17 is one of the good things, good creepypastas that I've read that actually scared me, that actually shocked me, and showed that maybe I'm not as desensitized to horror movies as I am now. So, thank you. With that being said, Toon Critic, keeping you totally tuned for your entertainment. Stay awesome.